Vanakkam. Welcome to our course on SAP PP and MM by Vgroven Consulting and Training. In today's session, we are exploring an essential concept in SAP production planning that is called production version. What is production version? Production version is a link between bill of materials and routing and ensure that the right components and processes are used for manufacturing. Without a production version, SAP cannot determine how a product should be produced. By end of the session, you will understand what a production version is and why it is important, the key components that make up a production version, how to create and manage a production version in SAP with hands-on demonstration. This session is crucial if you are working with multiple BOMs and routings or handling production planning and execution in SAP. So let us get started and simplify production version together. Before going to the session, let us see the answers for the quiz we discussed in the last session. What are the key parameters defined in routing? In routing, we defined sequence of operations, work centers, control key, standard value key parameters, standard time, and value for each parameter. Quality inspection characteristics can be assigned in a routing, true or false. True. This will be useful to record quality inspection results of each operation in routing. We have not discussed this point in the last session, but we may discuss later if you are conducting the quality management module. Components are assigned to the first operation by default, true or false. Yes, when you create the routing, the components assigned to the product are assigned to the first operation by default, but we can do the assignment later through change routing that we discussed in the last session. Can we define scrap in the output of an operation through routing? Yes. Accordingly, the scrap quantity will be accounted in current operation and quantity to be processed in next operation. This is defined as the scrap percentage when you go to the operations section. What should be the status of routing to be used in production order? The status should be released. It is usual mistake keeping the status as created, but struggling the reason for not able to create production order. So whenever there is a problem with production order, we need to come and check. One is validity date, second is the status, third is deletion flag is there or not, fourth is the lot size is defined properly. A routing can be assigned to single material, true or false. False. A routing can be assigned to multiple materials if those materials are following the similar routing. Continuing the discussions of master data like metal master, bill of material, work center routing, we are going to discuss production version. So in SAP, we discussed the sequence of material masters or sequence of master data. First start with metal master, then bill of material, then create work center. Combining these, we create routing. And then after creating this routing and bill of material, we have to link them to the product, right? So that is called the production version. So far we discussed metal master, routing, bill of material, work centers. In this lesson, we are going to talk about production version. So let us take a simple example, right? A product and how it is produced in different scenarios. Let us take a finished product which is having two sizes, 500 grams or 1000 grams, whatever the size. Okay. Now, if you want to produce this product 500 pieces per day, more than that, it means then we need to have a machine, rolls to pack it, and also what is the product which has to be used. So here we are having the product is there, but we are using the packing roll and also the machine. At the same time, when you are producing less than 500 pieces per day, probably you don't need to have a machine. So just having a manual sealing machine is sufficient, and also the pouches will be okay. So what is happening here? The product remain the same, finished product remain the same, right? And also the input material, major material is remaining the same, the powder or whatever the product to pack. But the packing material what we are using is roll in the first case, but it is the pouch in the second case. So BOM is changing. Similarly, we are using the machine to produce the more quantity. So the work center is changing, but we are using the sealing machine, which is the manual sealing machine. Again, the work center is changing. So the routing also will change. So this is the practical scenario, right? Now let us continue the discussion, the production version. how it is going to be helpful in this kind of scenarios.
So what is production version? Production version is a way to produce a product with a combination of bill of materials and routing, right? So production version denote different ways by which a company can produce a material. For example, a metal having one routing but multiple bill of materials, then we need to have production version. If metal may be having multiple BOMs but one routing, then also we need to have production version. Here you see the example. There is a material where there is one routing, one BOM, which is linked with the routing is linked to the one work center. So we are having one production version. The same material, it may be produced with the same routing but different BOM, right? So then we need to have second production version. And then the metal may be produced with different routing, different BOM, and then we need to have different production version. So this is same material. You may ask how a same product may be produced with different versions. Just I give an example. For example, if you are packing a product, right? If you are packing a product, packing can be done in a packaging machine where you have the packing input as a rolls, the packaging metal as a rolls. So that is you taking input as a roll. The BOM is a packaging roll. But the same metal can be packed with the same packing but with a manual packing where we'll be giving the cut pouches of the packing. It is a manual packing. So there the routing is also different, that bill of material is also different, but the same product is produced, right? So like this there will be different combinations to produce a product. Sometimes there may be some product which is produced in a factory. There is a highly automated line. There may be old line, right? Because they do the advanced improvements, they do some investment. At the same time, they want to use the old facility also. In the old facility, production may be done in 3-4 machines, sequenced one by one. But in the new automated machine, one machine will take care of all the operations. So one product is produced in different ways in these two different kind of production lines, right? So, but we have to handle them. It is only one product, right? So for this kind of differentiation, we have the production version, right? So now this is how just understanding what is production version is not important, right? Just understanding production version is not important. We have to understand what is the production version, how the production version can be applied. That is what we need to understand, right? So whenever we go and meet as a consultant to users, or if you are using already SAP, please evaluate, are you using different routings or different production version properly, or using it, please validate them.
So what is the need of a production version? So the first is that there may be multiple BOM and routing. So we need to select a right combination of BOM and routing. The production version will help in this process. And then it will help to ensure the right BOM, right routing is selected for MRP, material requirement planning, and also for production execution. That is when you are creating the production orders and execution. The third point is how to control the version. For example, when you are managing different versions of products, like if there is a change in the BOM or routing, like a change in machine or input material, whatever it is, production version can be created with different validity so that we can control the version and also the validity period. And then the integration with MRP and costing. So using an MRP runs, it is determined by the current components and operations. So production version is helping, and also for the accurate costing by ensuring the right combination of BOM and routing is used. And then this production version has become mandatory, right? So how is it mandatory? We'll see.
Right. So now production version, is it mandatory? That's a question mark. In ECC version of SAP, production version is mandatory for process synthesis and repetitive manufacturing. It is not mandatory for discrete manufacturing. Production version is not mandatory for discrete manufacturing in ECC. But in case of S4 HANA, production version is mandatory for all, including discrete manufacturing. That is, wherever there is a bill of material explosion, we should have production version. If there is no production version, bill of material will not get exploded. Please take note of it. This is the main difference which is brought to S4 HANA. Many people are thinking S4 HANA is something very new thing like that. No, as a database, as a technology wise, it's excellent way. Functions wise, if you are strong in ECC, you don't worry whether it is ECC or S4 HANA. There are some smaller differences which you can understand easily and proceed. Don't think that if you are not working in S4 HANA, you are not knowing it. You know already the basic things, right? So S4HANA is this kind of differences we need to understand. Now coming back to production version S4HANA and or an S4HANA, whatever it is, production version is used for it may be a quantity range specific also. For example, you can create a production version where a quantity is between 1 to 1000 pieces. Another production version may be quantity more than 1000 pieces. I told you example, now old line, new line. In the old line, I will be producing the small quantity. In the bigger line, automatic line, I will produce more quantity. I will have two different production versions according to this. Also, production version can be validity of the period also. For example, we can have a production version which is valid for Jan to March. Another production version is valid for April to June, like based on some seasonality or based on some nature of production or based on some humidity also, some kind of treatment units may be different. For these things, we have different production versions. So production versions are used to have multiple combinations with the multiple dates, quantity, combination of BOM, routing, etc. I sincerely suggest you guys please practice these things in a system and understand the importance.
Why do we have different production versions? We saw from a simple example that manual pouch or the machine packing like that. So like this, there may be different manufacturing plants or alternate raw materials which will be used, or they may be procured from different sources like import or domestic like that, or regulatory requirements in different regions, or customization for different markets or customers. For these things, different production versions may be required. So let us take one industrial example. Earlier we discussed that product of kg, 1 kg. Now let us take one typical industrial example. Let us take an electronic industry. There is a smartphone. So here the smartphone product, right? SGMC smartphone is there, for example. Now there is a production version 1. This means this is used in China plant, let us say. Here BOM1 will be with the processor which is sourced from supplier X. Routing 1 will be from standard assembly process. But it is going to result in the same product, HGMC smartphone. When the same product is used in India, they are using the processors from supplier Y. Maybe the little bit different specification, but at the same time it is meeting the requirement. Routine 2 with a different little bit testing process, because the available instruments, everything, they may have little bit testing process. So different BOM, different routing. So here we need to have different production version for the same product. And then we are having the production version in UK where they are using the localized sourcing of materials, but at the same time it is meeting all the requirements, but we have the localized material. At the same time they use the different packaging steps. So this means there are different production versions are required depending on what is the material which is used, depending on the source, depending on the specifications. At the same time they are adaptable to the product, and also different routings which are used. At the same time, everything will result in the same finished good, right? So when we have a production version, when we want to create a production version, we need to have a prerequisite. What are the prerequisite? We need to have a valid BOM with the proper validity date, and also we need to have a proper routing with the proper validity date and also the lot size.
How to create the production version? To create the production version, in SAP menu is given here, like logistics, production, master data, and the production version. Transaction is C223. Now, just we are going to create the production version here. So to see the production version is attached to material or not, it is available already in MRP4 view as shown here. In MRP4 view, you see that now the production version indicator, now it is blank. Now we will create this, then after creation we will come and see that what is happening with it blank. Okay. Now when you enter the C223, the production version, the opening screen is here where we have to enter the selection parameters like plant and materials. After entering this, if there is no production version, it will appear in the bottom now second half as a empty. So what you should do in this empty here, you have to enter the details like which material you are creating, what is the production version number, that is number you can give it. You can give the production version like a text also. For example, old line, new line, like that you can give it. And then you tell what is the validity, right? Validity period from period and to period, and also what is the lot size. And then if you go to the right side, right, there will be a BOM, there will be a routing selection. Those things also you have to enter. After entering these things, double click the line item. When you double click the line item, system will bring you to this page like this, right? Here you have the first tab, right, production version. There is a lock field. Here this field is, if it is not locked, it can be used for production and planning purpose. If it is locked, it cannot be used for the purpose. So we can lock the production version also, right? Already created 4 production versions. Now one line is not created. You need not delete all the production version. One particular production version you can lock it, so that it will not be used. Here you see all the that lot size and validity date what we entered there, and also the routing details what we entered there is coming, and also the alternate BOM details what we entered, they are coming here. These are the details we entered in the previous page. Now after entering all these things, press check, right? When you enter this check, now you see that the details of the task list, which is the routing exists, and also BOM exists. This means that we entered some right details. That's what is coming here. Now let us come back and see here in the test, it is showing green. You see here it is a test is showing green, which means all the details are captured properly. If there is some problem, it will show in yellow as a warning or red in the error. So that time we have to go and check whether the lot size given properly, date given properly, the BOM date, the routing date, all these things are validity within this production version validity. All those things you have to get. So these things should be aligned. So as a person who is creating master data, you have to be very careful, right? So we have to check all these details, right? So by entering all these things, we know that it is the details are okay with the green. Save it. Production version is created. This is how we create the production version. Now we told no the production version metal master, when you saw that there was no tick mark. Now you see the tick mark in the version indicator. We can see, right? And also by clicking this production version button in the metal master itself, it will take us to the page like this. Here you select the line and select this details button. You will see the routing production version details. Here you see the BOM side, that routing also it is showing green, BOM is showing green. All these green means the production version is created and allocated properly, right? This is how we create the production version and how to test the production version also. Both the things we discussed now.
See how to create a production version. To create production version, transaction is C223. It is shown in the menu path here. Under production, master data, under metal master, C223. It is shown here. Okay. Now, to create production version, we need to have some prerequisites. What are the prerequisites? Before that, we need to check whether the production version is there for the metal or not. I'm going to create the production version for GB1005. I am checking it. It should be available in MRP4 or work scheduling view. I can see production version is there or not. In MRP4, the production version checkbox is blank. And also when I click production version icon, it is showing no details. Similarly, when I go to work scheduling view, here the field is blank and also the details are blank, which means that there is no production version for this item. Now let me go and check the prerequisites. So what are the prerequisites? The first prerequisite is bill of material. So let me go and check the bill of material for this material. So transaction for a bill of material is CS03. Bill of material is available and validity date is also I am checking, right? So now the details are checked, whether all the details are available, and also the validity date details we are checking. Okay, so BOM is one of the prerequisite that is available for this GB1005. What is the next prerequisite? We need to have a routing for this material with the proper validity date. So go to CA03 and then check the routing for this material. Go to the header page. So here I am seeing the routing is available. So what is the next point we need to check? We need to check the validity date. So validity date is available here. Apart from this, we need to check the deletion indicator, lot size, etc. But these are the basic things. Okay. So I am checking the validity date here, right? And also when I go back to the routing, it is showing here the summary here. These things we discussed in the last session. So validity date, data details, these things are available. Right. Now let us go and create the production version for this material. So it is C223, right? I go there. And if you are confident about the group number, let us keep it. If you are not confident, we can remove it, no issues. Now I put the material, which plant and what date it is getting created. So I'm putting the metal number SGMC-TRNG-GB1005. Also I'm putting the version number. What is the production version number? This is the number which you are assigning to the each material. So I'm giving some number here V001. And what is that? Just we have to identify for what purpose this production version. It is for in-house production. And what is the validity date? From which date we want to have this version valid? So I'm taking from 1st March to this. I want to ensure that it is there for 2 years only. So I'm entering 31/3/2027 as the date for this particular validity. Right. Next, we have to define what is the lot size. So I am defining the lot size from 1 to 99999999. This is again depending on requirement, we can define it. Then we have to select the BOM. Normally BOM will go and select F4 because system will give all the what are the available BOM. So here we have only one BOM selected. Automatically system will give that BOM other details also. Similarly, routing also go and select F4, and here it will appear like a searching using material. So what material you are creating, that is appearing here. It is showing what are all the routings available. Here only one routing is there, just to select it. So it will be automatically selected group number and routing type. All these things are selected. Now we selected the required details to create the production version. All right. Right. Now what we need to check, we have to go and check the column here which is showing here. Just a minute, let me align this page. Okay, now here we have the this page here. See what is this is status consistency check. This is very important. Whenever you create a production version, you have to do the status consistency. So this should be in green. Now it is showing in yellow. So what should we do to become this as green? We have to do a consistency check. So select this item and press the icon consistency check. Okay, now system is telling the task list which routing is available, BOM also available for the validity date what we entered. Now when we come back, system is showing that the uh, stretching check as green. Right, with this that consistency check is done, which means the production version is properly available with the proper validity dates and the valid details. Okay, now let me go and check whether the production version is appear in the metal master. So it is in MRP4 or work scheduling view. When I go and check, see the version indicator tick mark is there. Also production version that is coming here. When I select this line and press the details icon in the bottom, I can go and see the details there. So what is the routing selected, what is the BOM selected, what is the validity date, all the details we can see. Similarly, we can see these production version details in the work scheduling view also the same way. Right, version tick mark is there, production version. Again select the line item, go and see the details. Now I can see the production version details. So this is how we create the production version and also ensure that production version is created for the material.
In S4HANA, to create a production version in MOS, there is a program which is given here. The program name is given here. Now through program CSE38, enter the program name, enter the material or associated plants, or just enter in the plant, it will bring out all the materials. So here we can simulate and check whether the BOM and routing and all clearly allocated, and then we can save it. I suggest you to please practice this yourself. Here I told you how to create production version. What are the parameters you need to check for having a proper production version. With this understanding, you can do this activity on yourself without any problem. Right? This is how you create the production version collectively also.
So what are the key takeaways from the production version? A production version will result in the same finished product or semi-finished product or component. It may use a different BOM for each production version. It may use different routings, or there may be multiple locations or lines. So what are the key benefits of production version? The production version ensures the right BOM and routing are used automatically based on the date or location or the combination of alternate BOM, these kind of things. Also, it improves the efficiency and compliance with the regional manufacturing laws, and it also supports the cost optimization by allowing the alternate suppliers and processes selected for the production process. Also, the SAP logs which version was used for each batch, so it enhances the traceability.
So in this session, we discussed how to create production version, how to validate production version, what are the collective creation of production version.
So we'll see the quiz questions for this session to ensure our understanding in this session. Is production version mandatory in S4HANA? Which data are linked in production version? How production version can be applied for practical requirement? The assignment for this session is create production version for the products which you have selected for the case study. So please do these things properly so that you can understand SAP functions well. So now we completed the discussion on the master data which are required for PP, like bill of material work center routing. Now we will be moving on to the master data required for materials management. The first master data for material management is business partner. That we'll discuss in the next session. Meanwhile, create production version for the business case explained. Whatever clarifications you need, please put them in the comment section. They will be answered then and there. And meanwhile, hope you enjoyed this session and also it was useful to you. Similarly, if this may be useful to your colleagues and friends, so please recommend to your friends to subscribe our channel. Meanwhile, if you like to hire dedicated server to practice along with me, contact me at the following email address. Thank you. See you in the next session. Take care. Bye.